So hopTo Work is really focused on building on top of the solutions that already exist today. So you're probably familiar, if you use Windows applications on mobile devices today, you're probably familiar with some of the solutions that are out there today. So obviously there's a Microsoft Remote Desktop to get to your existing desktop. There's Windows Remote Desktop Services, runs on a server, has multiple people to access desktops and applications simultaneously. Citrix sells a solution on top of that called Citrix XenApp that extends capabilities, adds a lot of management and some additional feature sets. And then you also have VMware that's in the space of VMware View. They support RDS on top of RDS, and they support virtual desktops as well. So there are a number of solutions out there, but those solutions really focus only on transporting your Windows application to your mobile device. They don't focus on transforming the user experience of that application, not to a great extent. So to be completely open, they have made some attempts. So if you look at what Microsoft has done, they've added they have a touch control mode, and they have a mouse pointer mode on their client. They've added a few shortcut buttons. If you look at what Citrix has done, they've added some capabilities when you're accessing a full virtual desktop to improve the user experience of the desktop itself, so make it easier to get to your list of applications and to your documents. They've done a few things to try to make it easier to access the applications, but it's been very limited. And the feedback that I've received, not only from Citrix customers, but also from employees, is it often doesn't work for a lot of applications just because of the wide variety of applications out there and the challenges with supporting a wide variety of applications for the limited things that they've done. VMware also has done some things to extend the capabilities of the desktop with their Unity Touch client. They make it easier to access your apps and documents, but nothing for the apps themselves. So those existing solutions, and of course Remote Desktop falls into that if you're going to your own individual desktop, those existing solutions let you get that app on your iPad or on your Samsung Galaxy tablet. But what they don't do is make that app truly touch-enabled, allow you to use the same existing app you've always used without having to learn a new interface. And you need a solution that does that and is very easy for you to deploy quickly and securely. And that's really the goal that we have in mind with hopTo Work. So with that in mind, I'm going to flip over here on my screen. I'm on my iPad here. I'm going to connect to my iPad. So what you're seeing here on my iPad, I have the ability with my to connect my iPad directly to my MacBook here. So you're actually seeing my live iPad connects to my MacBook, so you can see how I touch enable or how I interact with the device. So hold the phone here. All right, so what we're going to do first, we're actually going to use the Microsoft Remote Desktop Client to connect to an existing remote desktop server to show you the user experience of accessing applications with the Remote Desktop Client. And as I said, it's very similar to what you get from whether you're using Remote Desktop, RDS, Citrix, or VMware. So we're going to connect to the server, and we'll go into a full desktop. All right, and you see this is what you typically get. So, you know, have your list of applications, have your Windows desktop. It had an application opener by default from the last time we were actually in. So I'll close that. You'll see you can tap here, change between mouse pointer mode and touch mode. So, and then of course you tap at the top there on the keyboard to bring up the keyboard. So what we're going to do first is we're going to open Quickbooks. So we double tap on Quickbooks. Of course, you've got to tap in exactly the right spot to get it to open. And as I said, this can be a challenge. Okay, there it goes. I finally got it. All right, so I'm not going to install the update during the demo, and we're going to bring it up. We're just going to open up the one of the sample databases. All right, it's not maximized, so I'm going to try to touch in just the right spot so I can maximize this window so you can see it. Missed it that time. Let me try again. All right, it's going to take it a minute because the application is going to access its function, so it's going to take a moment for me to even have the ability to maximize. So this is some of the user experience challenges that you typically see when you're using an app designed for a mouse and keyboard, but you're trying to interface with that application with your finger. All right, so it finally accepted that command. All right, so you know this is Quickbooks Pro running on my iPad. You'll see Of course, I cannot pinch and zoom with this because the remote desktop client is in touch mode. So if I want to pinch and zoom, I have to go into mouse pointer mode. So I tap that, and then I can pinch and zoom. And then if I want to go back to touch enable mode, of course, I have to switch it back. So if I want to go and do some commands, of course, there are some large buttons here that are easy to access. So, I can tap my company here on the left. I can go see that. Some of these things are easy to access. But when you get into where you want to do some specific things, I went back to the home menu. Of course, it didn't open up that window maximize, so I have to try again to tap my finger in just the right spot. All right, only took 2 times. If I want to open menus, I'm going to try to open the help menu. I got to tap, try to get in just the right. All right, it took me 3 times to get in the right spot. You can see, of course, there's other menus. Sometimes you can get right on them. All right, you got to tap that one twice. You can see how you can interact with this. So if I want to go in and do something like create an invoice, I'll go into, I believe it's customers. I'm not an expert on QuickBooks, but I've done this demo many times. Create invoices. I go in there, and of course, I want to edit in a box. I tap in that box. If you were using this on a standard mobile device, if this is the mobile version of QuickBooks, when I tapped in this edit box right here, the bill to, the mobile device would recognize that an edit box. It automatically zoom in and bring up the keyboard. Of course, because this application is running remotely, and I'm transporting it to my mobile device, my iPad has no idea that that's an edit box. So what I have to do is tap the keyboard and bring that up. And of course, if I want to zoom in, I have to change. And of course, I bring the keyboard down to do that. You can see the challenges. So if I want to zoom in, I have to flip back to touch pointer mode, then zoom in, then bring up the keyboard. And so as you can see, and if you've ever used an app like QuickBooks on your iPad, you can just see the more you use the applications on the surface, because there are some nice big buttons here, it looks like it's pretty easy to use, but as you start to use the app, you can see there are a number of challenges that you have to deal with trying to use the application. So I'm going to try to tap on File, Exit. No, I missed it again. File. Oh, I'm trying to close. And of course, I can't get it right in the right spot to tap the File button. And we'll try to tap the X. Of course, these are the challenges that you run into here with an application like QuickBooks. So let me change this to mouse pointer mode. And there, I got it. Okay, so we'll show you a couple of other applications so you can see, because I'm going to show you the same applications on hopTo Work. So just a couple others very quickly. So we're going to go into an application called Goldmine. All right, tapped enough to get that open. So Goldmine is a very popular contact management application. It's been around for a long time, still has millions and millions of users. So I want to just show you a different type of interface. Of course, by default, it opens up the contact list. You can see things on the contact list, and there are a number of functions built into Goldmine. If you look down here on the bottom left, underneath New Contact, there are a number of buttons that allow you to access those functions. But of course, pardon me, those buttons are very, very small. So I can go tap on the client, change it to touch enable mode, and then zoom in, and then see the buttons, and then tap one of those buttons, tap in the right spot, and it'll bring up that function. Oh, I have to switch back to mouse pointer mode, and then it brings up that function. So you can see, this becomes more and more cumbersome the more you use things. You have to remember to switch back and forth. It can be a real challenge with a number of applications. So I'm going to switch back. We'll drop out of this. That's Goldmine. And then there's just one more I'll show you just briefly, Red Beam Inventory Tracking. So this is an application. We're using a trial version of this. This is an application that's focused on allowing you to track physical inventory. So there are a number of applications in the space. You see these across multiple industries. Within this application, one of the things you typically do, you can go and edit a record. So if I tap here on the quantity received, of course I can't zoom. I switch over zoom, then switch back, and then tap in the quantity received. And then if I want to edit that field, to bring up the keyboard. One of the things you can do with this application if you're running it on a Windows PC is you can tap in the barcode field and you can actually access a barcode reader. But of course, the remote desktop client for Microsoft does not allow me to scan barcodes. I can't connect the barcode reader to this, and of course, I can't use the camera for that. So hopefully now you can see there are really a lot of user experience challenges when you're trying to use a remote desktop client. And so we're going to show you how we can solve those challenges when you're using hopTo Work. So I'm going to go on to hopTo Work, right, and I'm just going to bring another window up here so you don't see what my password is, so I don't get in trouble with our IT department. So let me log into my password. Right, and bring the screen back up. You should see my screen again. So this is the hopTo Work client. So there are a lot of things going on here, but I'm really just going to focus on, for the purposes of this demo right now, I'm going to focus on explicitly on the same applications that we just accessed. So I'm going to tap here on the left. I'm going to tap on Applications. All right, I hear some background noise and some a phone ring in the background. So if you're on the webinar and for some reason you're not muted, please mute yourself so we don't get that in the background. Thank you. All right, so you see here is a list of applications. I'm connected to that same remote desktop server that I was connected to before. You see the applications that are available. So let's start off. We'll go in reverse order. So let's go to Redbeam. Redbeam is the last application that you saw. So we'll start off in Redbeam. We'll access the same application. So you can immediately see there are a couple things different. There's this little toolbar down at the bottom. So this toolbar is an overlay provided by hopTo Work. This is our default toolbar. No customization of this toolbar, so it has like an insert function, so you can insert images or barcodes. It has an edit function, so you can access all the edit keys. Of course, you can bring up the keyboard. You can select between different keyboards, go back to the application, and the auto zoom button we'll talk about in a few minutes. So the first thing I'd like to show you with this application is how we leverage the camera. So I'm going to tap here in the barcode field, and you see it recognized that I tapped in the edit field. It automatically brought up the keyboard for us. So I'm going to tap in that field, tap insert, and then tap barcode, and I happen to have a barcode right here in front of me. So I'm going to line my iPad up, let it get focused, and it read the barcode. All right, so right there, we're able to leverage a local device, our local resource here on the iPad, so I can immediately scan a barcode. So, and I'm not limited to just scanning barcodes. I can even take photos. So if I wanted to take a photo of the device, or if I wanted to take a photo of a document, in essence, scan a document, I could do that as well. So I'll tap, I'm here in the notes field. I tap image. It's going to bring up the camera. This is what I just scanned. Let's let it get in focus. Snap the photo. Tap use photo. All right, then it's going to actually upload that to the server. It's going to put that in a temp space, and then here in the notes field I can actually attach that directly to the record that I just worked on. So I can tap edit and tap paste and paste that right in, so you have access to that. So you can already see a substantial difference in my user experience here. I don't have to switch back and forth between the touch control mode and the mouse pointer mode. It automatically recognizes when I tap in a field that I can edit, just like a mobile app would. It brings up the keyboard and zooms in when appropriate. So you can already see a substantial difference. So, and this allows you to use some of the features that we have built in. So I'm going to close this application, and then we'll go in to the next one that we'll go in. We'll go in and we'll access Goldmine. So it's going to bring up Goldmine. It'll log in. We'll tap OK to the license. Right, it brings it in, so it brings up the application, and you see how this application is set up. And if you remember before, we couldn't pinch and zoom with the application, you know, and we had to actually zoom in on the buttons down at the bottom to control the app. But now we have this toolbar down at the bottom. So this toolbar is part of the feature set that we call Max Mobile App Experience. This feature specifically is called Max Control. So with Max Control, it allows you to take app functions and map those to touch buttons. So I'm going to tap here. If you look at the bottom left, you see a button called Opportunities. So I'm going to tap the Opportunities button. And of course, that immediately opens up the Opportunities window that's available in this application. So I can tap, I'll press and hold so you can see it. If you look at the Calendar button, Tap that, it immediately brings up the calendar. I can do a contact search, and of course, because it recognizes that's a edit field, it automatically brings up the keyboard and does an auto zoom. So I'm going to close that. One more thing I'll show you when I get to the contact list. You see in this contact list, one of the functions is go to the last record. So I tap the go to button down at the bottom and last record. It automatically takes me to last record, then tap first record, it goes automatically to the first record. So I'm going to go ahead and close this app, and then we'll go and show you QuickBooks. All right, so we showed you Red Beam inventory tracking, we showed you Gold Mine, and now we'll open up QuickBooks Pro. Now, we are running QuickBooks Pro for this demo, but of course, this will work for QuickBooks Pro, it'll work for QuickBooks Premier, and it'll work for QuickBooks Enterprise. In fact, on RDS or on Citrix, of course, you're more likely to be using QuickBooks Enterprise because that supports up to 30 concurrent people accessing the data file at the same time, so you have access to multiple. So if you remember the last time QuickBooks opened Minimize, I actually created a button to maximize the window, so I don't have to try and tap in that field. So I just tap Maximize, it brings it up. Once again, I'm going to open the sample database for service-based business. So go through, I acknowledge that I'm opening the sample file, and then we'll give QuickBooks a moment here to open. So you see, this is opening up QuickBooks. It's brought to you to the home screen. It looks very similar to the screen that you saw with the remote desktop client, but there are a few changes. Again, we have a toolbar down here at the bottom. So the toolbar I actually set up myself. I'm in charge of sales and marketing here, so it's pretty simple to do if the sales guy can do it, and I'll show you exactly how to do it here in a few minutes. So you see what we did is we took some common QuickBooks functions and we just mapped those to a toolbar. So I'm going to go ahead and show you, before I clicked on customers and then create an invoice. Now you just tap activities down here at the bottom. I'll press and hold so you can see it. It brings up another menu. I create invoice and it brings up the invoice button. I can close that if I want, so I just tap close window. Say I want to write a check, activities, hit checks, and then write check. It brings up the write check wizard. And again, if I want to go and tap in a field, let me close this, tap in this field, enable zoom, go in the field, and as soon as you go in there, it gives you the ability to access all these fields within the window, and it zooms right away. It zooms instantly and brings up the keyboard. So really a much better user experience. You don't have to switch back and forth between touch control mode and mouse pointer mode. You have the touch buttons, which you can configure to whatever app function that you choose. And what order you choose, you can do up to 3 menus deep. And you can actually map up to 5 app functions per button. And I'll show you how to do that here in a moment. So you can see it's much easier to access. And a couple other things I'll show you before we switch back and show you how we do this. So as I said earlier, we actually started doing this for Microsoft Office. So we continue to support Microsoft Office. We give you the ability to access Office documents from this. You can access Office documents whether they're in your user profile, they're on Windows file servers. You can access documents within SharePoint document libraries. And of course, you can access shared storage like Dropbox. So in fact, you can access Dropbox, Box, Google Drive, OneDrive, Copy, and Ignite. So you have multiple choices. None of the documents are ever saved on your device, so if you lose the device or if it's an employee-owned device and you leave the company, you're not exposed and nothing's sent. It left on that device itself. So I'm going to open up another application so you can see multiple running. We'll open up Red Beam again. So the thing I want to show you here is we can access multiple applications and documents simultaneously. If you're familiar with using a iPad or an Android device, typically you can only access one document or app at a time. If you want to flip to another one, of course, you have to minimize and close it. So we allow you to access multiple simultaneously. So I have Red Beam running, I have a doc open, and I have QuickBooks open. So I can flip between them. Of course, I can cut and paste in one and paste in the other. I can go in and access this news document. Of course, I can do touch-enabled editing. So I tap Format. I can go in here, I can change the font, and I don't have access to just the 5 fonts that come with this iPad. I have access to all the fonts that are installed on the Windows server. So I go through this list. We'll pick Jokerman. That sounds like an interesting font, so we have that font there. The slider, the font size is a slider bar, so very, very easy to access. Of course, you can change the font colors. Go in there, and you can even turn on track changes. And if you're familiar with using track changes within a Windows document, obviously you can access multiple. You have multiple people edit the document and track who changed what and when. So we have all those capabilities. You can create Word, Excel, and PowerPoint documents. And one last thing I'll show you, if you're familiar with editing or accessing Microsoft Word explicitly on a remote desktop or a Citrix server, I'm actually in the Midwest, and I'm accessing this server in Campbell, California, so just south of San Jose. So this is running in San Jose, and you can see it scrolls very seamlessly as I'm scrolling through this application, because we completely rebuilt the front end of Office, so the user experience is very, very impressive. So completely mobile experience with the full Windows power of Office. Nothing saved on the local device. You can access multiple documents now simultaneously, and of course you can continue to access your applications at the same time that you access your documents. One more feature I'll show you on Office. Seems to get a lot of interest from customers. You can actually insert photos. You can insert photos that you've taken on the device itself, but you can also insert images from the web. So I'm going to tap Image from Web. All right, what this is going to do when I go and do the search, this is actually going to go out and leverage the Google Search API and go search for documents, or go search for images rather. So I go in there and I say I will tap in, let's just go hopTo, do something safe and easy. So it'll go out and it execute a Google image search for hopTo. All right, so it's going through, and you'll see there are a number of images available out there for hopTo, some of the stuff from our old consumer client. You have a lot of things out there available. So it executes that search. I'll go, and it's still, you see it flashing because it's actually, Google's continually updating the search as it goes through. So I'm going to tap that for our logo. And there you see it just pulled that right in. So I'm going to close this and not save it, so I still have the document to use next time. So you see, you really have a lot of capabilities. This is a remote desktop client. It works with a remote desktop on your Windows device. It works with remote desktop services from Microsoft. We are building an integration for Citrix, so if you have Citrix today, Citrix supports the remote desktop protocol, so we can actually interact with Citrix today. You just won't be able to manage it through the same way you manage Citrix, but we will be releasing that soon. So you have a lot of capabilities. So what I'm going to do now is close this out and go back to the remote desktop client to show you how we actually configure these toolbars. We'll log off there. The app is pretty intensive, so we run it through the remote desktop client. So I'll connect back to the remote desktop client. You'll see here, we'll go in, we'll run the hopTo control panel. Yes, you have to be an admin to run the control panel. So this is the control panel. So we're going to go into the max setting, and this is where you'll see how you can actually set up these toolbars. So first, let's show you the toolbar that I created for Goldmine. So we go tap Goldmine, click Edit. So you can see what we've actually done. Let's go click Edit again. The opportunities, the way you run the opportunities wizard in Goldmine is you execute a keyboard shortcut, which for Goldmine, that's F9. So we've mapped that window, that shortcut, to F9. So we've gone and set that up. If you want to go to the calendar in Goldmine, that's F7. You can see that there. Contact search is F4. Click Edit, you can see that there. And you can create menus. So this is actually, if I go and click Edit, you'll see there's no functions there. It just executes a menu, and underneath that you put additional capabilities. So if I go and look at first record, that's actually a control page up. We label that, and you see here at the bottom of the window it says input custom shortcuts 5 maximum. You can actually input up to 5 keyboard shortcuts. So in effect, you can create your own macros if you choose. So you can really go deep with this if you choose to, or you can keep it very, very simple. So I'm going to cancel out on Goldmine. Whoops, went too far there. Let's open it back up and go into QuickBooks. So we'll go max again. We'll hit QuickBooks. There you go, QuickBooks, and then Edit Toolbar. All right, so you'll see here in QuickBooks, first thing we had, we created a general menu. And let me tell you the process I used to create this. I Googled QuickBooks keyboard shortcuts. I found a ton of links, opened up the first one. I had 90 keyboard shortcuts. I went through what I thought were the most obvious ones. I wanted to show some common app functions, and I wanted to show some nested menus. So I went ahead and created them. It literally took me 5 minutes. So general menu, of course, I'll show you again. You click Edit. You see the general menu. I click, and underneath there's Save Transaction, for instance. That's Alt S. Save and Next is Alt N. You can click the product info. That's F2. We created a editing menu. So you can see here, this is very, very easy for you to do. You go under Activities. That's a menu, and then Invoice. Create invoice underneath that. Edit that is just Control-I, and I do want to show you one that actually has 2 commands. That maximize function I showed you when the window started off minimized. If I scroll back up here and click Edit, you'll see that's actually 2 commands. So Alt space and X. So actually executed 2 keyboard shortcuts to maximize a window. So it's really, really functional and very, very easy for you to do. So if I log back out of this and go back into hopTo Work briefly to show you again QuickBooks running from here, you can see it's very, very simple for you to take a powerful Windows application like QuickBooks, cover my screen again, and take that powerful Windows application and in just a few moments figure out what the common app functions are, get those keyboard shortcuts for those app functions, run our Max configurator to map those functions, and then go and access the application. So if I go back into QuickBooks here, you'll see it's going to bring QuickBooks up, and you'll see the list of toolbars down at the bottom. So with hopTo Work, you can take an existing Windows application, you can transport it over remote desktop or Citrix here in the very near future, and transport it to your mobile device, whether it's an iPhone, an iPad, or an Android device. You can take that application and quickly build some custom toolbars for functions that you use within the app, and then access that application, have it recognize when you're tapping in the edit field, automatically zoom up, bring the keyboard. You can essentially take an app written for Windows and in a very short period of time transform that app into a touch-enabled mobile application, really in a very short period of time and with very little resources, while continuing to use the same version of the app. So you don't have to get retrained on the app. There's not a completely new interface. There's not a lot of different app functions. It's the same app you use every day for your Windows device, but now you have a touch-enabled version of that application on your mobile device. So you see now the capabilities of hopTo Work. I do see we got a couple of questions. One question, will this work with the Galaxy Note Pro multi-window feature? That I do not know if we've tested that. That is something that we will look into. I can't see any reason why it would not. But this is our app is running on the device, so it's a mobile application running on the device while we're accessing your Windows applications on your server device. So to your Android device, to the Samsung Galaxy Note device, we would be a single window. It would not see inside our application that there are multiple windows executing. So that may be what you're asking for, but we allow you to access multiple apps simultaneously and flip through them seamlessly. And if you have the multi-window feature, my guess is it'll recognize that this is a mobile application and treat the hopTo Work app as a mobile app just like it would any other. All right, so we're going to flip back here to the presentation and just cover a few more things, and then we'll close it out. So that's the demo. Let's talk about where you can learn more. So a few things. We do have a recorded product launch webinar we did a couple months ago. It's about an hour long. It also has a demo, has a lot more information on the product. For this webinar, I wanted to focus more on demoing how to use the product and really showing you how we change it from the remote desktop client. So you can see that. Of course, we have a hands-on technical webinar as well. I will make this content available as a handout before we end the webinar. We'll actually upload the content as a handout. course, you can download a free 30-day trial if you go to www.hopto.com/downloads. You can get a free 30-day trial. You can set this up and start testing your own applications. If you go on our website, if you go hopTo work or hopto.com/resources, you can see we have a number of presentations. We have a lot of videos that are available on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is hopTo INC. So if you go and just search for hopTo work on YouTube, you'll find our videos. We have a short 2-minute video, very professional video that's kind of an overview, explainer video it's called. Then we have a lot of step-by-step videos to show you how to use the product, how to use the document editing, for instance, how to install the agent, how to install the client-side apps, how to set up remote desktop services to work with it, and actually how to use the max configuration tool that I just showed you. A lot of content available. We have, I think, now 22 videos on our YouTube channel. Of course, all those are also available on our website at hopto.com/resources. Then click on video. I want to encourage you, though, download the free 30-day trial after you check out some of the other content. Nothing beats experiencing it for yourself. So we're really focused here on helping you mobilize these Windows applications by being the best possible remote desktop clients. You can transport and transform those existing mobile Windows applications into mobile apps very easily and provide a touch-friendly access leveraging your existing Windows infrastructure that you already have. I'm sure all of you already have remote desktop available. A lot of you will have RDS or Citrix, and of course you keep everything secure because nothing's saved on that device. So once again, you can download a free 30-day trial at hopto.com/downloads, or of course you can contact us for more information. We'd be happy to talk to you. Sales@hopto.com.